you one thing, if a little green man pops out of me, I'm shooting first and asking questions later.
You are on the verge of destroying the entire universe.
Welcome to the Strange Podcast with Sam and Logan.
If you enjoy the show, please go to iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, or wherever you're listening, and please give us a good rating. If you want to share a story or have ideas for a future episode, you're welcome to visit us at www.thestrangepodcast.com. We look forward to hearing from you.
Welcome to the Strange Podcast. This is episode 23, and I'm Logan Marks.
And I'm Sam Baxter. Today's March 22nd, 2018. So how's everything going? Should we start out with some damage control?
Yeah, we got a lot of angry people just because.
We're sorry, all of you. We're sorry.
We didn't mean that. We didn't even think about the Black Panther movie. We talked about it. We didn't put anything about spoilers.
Yeah, so we're sorry to all those who listened to our show last week and heard the spoilers if they hadn't seen it yet. We assumed our fault. We made asses out of ourselves that maybe people had already seen it. But apologize that we didn't put it on the webpage or on the download page. But we thought you saw it. So, Saul Undie, my apologies, Saul Undie.
Yeah, Saul Undie, we're very sorry.
And to everyone else. Everyone else was sorry. But it was a good movie, goddammit. Go watch it.
It was really good.
I gotta talk about it again. Can't stop.
And then everybody dies at the end. And it was really...
But the Chinese would never know that because they fell asleep. It was too dark. You were a little bit under the weather, weren't you?
Yo, I'm getting a little sick, but I think it's one of those viruses that I've already had, and it's kind of hit me a little bit, but not as bad.
So the herpes isn't too bad this time?
Yeah, it's clearing up a little.
All right. I'm glad. Make sure those genital warts go away.
And I'm back in action.
So you're feeling better then, huh? Going back to
work?
Yeah,
I think it's just a little flu. It's like going around work.
Yeah, I was gonna ask. Did you happen to hear about the? They were talking about Rick and Morty. How the season 4 hasn't been. They haven't started working on it yet.
Yeah, they haven't been they haven't signed anything to start.
It's been negotiations are late or whatever.
Yeah. So, but I think that's the way. Is it Cartoon Network?
Yeah, Cartoon Network.
Yeah, I think that's the way they kind of operate, though.
Well, that's kind of shitty.
Yeah, I know. I'm hoping that they do. Well, I'm pretty sure they'll have to have.
You know what? If they don't sign them, I'm pretty sure another network will pick them up.
Oh yeah,
there's no doubt about that. Sci-Fi, Netflix, Amazon.
Well, I was reading somewhere where I think they're kind of waiting because of Dan Harmon's because he got on his podcast and he talked about how he treated her poorly.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Yeah. So I'm wondering if they're just kind of waiting for that to die down a little bit.
I don't know. The show's so popular. I honestly don't know how he treated her, and if he treated her bad, that's not cool. I sure hope it gets signed soon. Because a lot of people, there's a lot of questions that haven't been answered. From last season.
I'm pretty sure they're gonna.
Oh yeah. Like I said, if they don't do it, I'm pretty sure another network will.
I would hope they put it on Netflix because that'd be awesome. You need to watch them all at one time.
I know. Dang, that would be fantastic. But let's hope it gets signed soon and they start working on it because they haven't started working on any of it either, I guess. So hopefully it will get signed soon and they'll start working on it because it's every 2 years, right? The seasons are like every 2 years.
It's basically when he feels like it.
I know, but I'm saying like previously, right? It's been every 2 years.
Yeah, it's been like every 2 years, year and a half, or something like that.
Yeah, hopefully Dan Harmon gets on it, man. Hopefully they get that thing signed. And for all those out there, if you haven't watched Rick and Morty, I mean, shit, we're not trying to plug them, but fuck it, we're plugging them. They're good. That's a good show. And you turned me on to it. I never heard of it, so my kudos to you.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's all I have to do. I don't really do much but watch crappy TV, and sometimes I find some gems.
Yeah, I know, right? Every once in a while, out of 10 shows, you might find one good one.
Right now, I'm watching this documentary called Wild Wild Country.
Wild Wild Country?
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's about this cult that from India that bought a bunch of land in Oregon.
Oh, jeez.
And so they built a small town.
Oh shit!
One of the guys who created Nike,
not the main guy.
Yeah, the guy the original creator.
That Phil Knight.
Yeah, I think that's what his name is. He started like an organization to get him kicked out because they were building houses in there because they bought this property. The property that they bought was basically supposed to be for agriculture. Mm-hmm. So they were trying to get him kicked out, because basically it was a lot of like old people that were pretty conservative, and it was just like this religious group that came in and kind of took over the area. They saw a lot of them. It's basically a bunch of hippies and stuff.
Okay.
And they just didn't like it, and so they tried to get him kicked out. So when they did that, the leader of that group got pissed off, and she's like, "Oh, okay, we'll just start buying all the properties in the town then."
Ooh.
So they started buying all this property in the towns. They took over the whole town.
Dang.
I've only got like halfway through, but it's really good.
So Phil Knight's trying to get them kicked out?
He was, yeah. He's not in there that much. Like he just kind of started. He was like the lead of the organization that was trying to get him kicked out.
So what is their cult about? Like, what do they believe in, or do they talk about that at all?
Kind of vaguely. It's mostly new age stuff, like all spirituality, and the group actually seemed not too bad. I mean, they don't really have a god per se, but they just kind of.
What classifies them as a cult? I guess I should ask.
Well, I guess because this was a time when Jonestown happened, and so when they showed up, people were like, "Oh, they're just like Jonestown."
Oh, Jonestown happened like a long time ago.
Yeah, because this was in the 70s.
Yeah,
like late 60s, like early 70s.
Okay.
And it's just kind of crazy because when you watch it, it doesn't feel like a cult because nobody's really controlled by anybody.
Okay.
But they're just kind of everyone has their own it's basically really hippie-ish. They believe in free love, and I think that's what pissed off a lot of the older because they
don't want that.
Yeah, they made them seem like there was this like evil, sex crazed religious group.
Gotcha.
So they called them a cult, and all of a sudden, so I only got halfway, so I don't know anymore. So far the cult looked actually, or not the cult, or the religious group seemed kind of cool. Like I was like, it's not too bad.
So I might get behind.
Yeah, I might even join myself.
Yeah,
but I haven't got into it, so I don't know how they haven't really got to the point where they, how sometimes you watch documentaries and they're like, oh, it's all this good stuff, and then at the end they're like, they're all child molesters.
Yeah, I gotcha.
So I haven't really got that far into knowing what they were about. But so far it's a really good show. It's like 8 1-hour episodes. No, it's 6 1-hour episodes.
No, that's not very long. Interesting. I haven't watched a lot of Netflix lately. Like the only problem I have with Netflix, I'm not bashing on Netflix, but I find that it's too hard to find movies on there now.
Oh, it's always been that way.
No, but before they did all before they started making all these shows, they actually had like new releases and there were new movies for this. Now it's all just TV shows, and it's like you can barely find any movies in there anymore. Oh, man, I don't want to dig this hard. I don't want to work this hard to watch TV. I'm really lazy. I don't want to do that.
I know. I always had issue with Netflix is like the way they
have everything laid out.
Yeah, the way they have it laid out. It's always been kind of like convoluted.
Yeah, it's just like this since the last few years since they started making a lot of TV shows. I feel like it's just that's all they bombard you with that, and it's like I have a hard time. Like, man, I don't want to watch a TV show. First of all, I don't want to get started on a new series, because I've already got like 4 of them I'm watching. It's like just let me find a movie. It's Friday night. I just kind of want to watch a movie and then be done with it.
And it always seems like if I do find a movie, it's always a foreign movie and it's all subtitled, and I'm like, I don't want to sit there and
I'm not gonna read. Damn
sit there and like pay super attention to it.
Yeah, just something to watch, some mindless shit.
Yeah,
I know it's kind of hard, and it's like I wish it would just at least, if you want to separate it, have a TV section, have a movie section. I just think, again, I might be bitching or just be looking too much into it, but I just want it a little bit easier.
You ungrateful bastard.
I know.
Yeah, so if anybody from Netflix is listening, please fix that, please.
I know. Please, I implore you, please, I beg of you, change the goddamn show. Is there any other good shows you're watching?
Not right now. Just kind of getting into that. I've been watching a lot of like The Office and just the older shows.
Oh, stuff that you do definitely like.
Yeah, something I know I can sit there and do stuff and watch other stuff at the same time and
yeah.
It doesn't take too much of my mind.
Or the way we are now, we're so impatient. It's like the show's on, and as you get a little bit bored, then you get on your phone and start looking up shit.
I know. Like, fuck. You didn't really watch anything. You're just like on your phone.
Yeah, it's on there. It's on, but then you're on your phone and you're doing shit. It's like, fuck. Why
I know. I'll be sitting there, and then Rebecca was like, "What did that guy say?" I was like, "Fuck, I don't know." I was trying to get on this Facebook feud with this guy.
I know, man. It's. We're just getting so impatient nowadays. Or you can't even sit there anymore and be bored. Man, you remember being as a kid, just kind of sitting around, or like, you had nothing to do. You'd have to read like a paper or something. And now we're so damn impatient. We can't even do that.
Shit, you can't even go to the bathroom without your phone.
I know, huh?
Or if you forget, you're sitting there when you forgot your phone somewhere.
I know, you'll like get up man.
Man, I gotta pinch it off.
Yeah, you won't even wipe your ass. I go get the fucking phone.
Sitting there crawling with your pants down, trying to find your phone. I know. Hoping you're not dripping on the floor.
Oh man, it's so pathetic.
I just saw like a video where like people were just like running into things because they were too busy with their phone.
Fuck, man. Like I've been seeing people do that. Like, you know what I hate? The thing that's kind of irritating. I don't want to sound like a grumpy old man, but I mean, damn. Like just today, I was driving down the road, and kids are going to school, walking to school. And some girl, she's probably young woman walking to the bus, and she's just on her phone crossing the street, but she's just kind of going diagonal, and she's not like moving off. I'm like, fucking, like, are you serious? Like, you can't get on the sidewalk and pay attention. You got to be on your phone the whole time as you're walking across. And like, I don't know if she had headphones on, so I don't know if she couldn't hear me coming behind her. I was like, oh, like, just move, like, get off the fucking sidewalk. If I was,
You're lucky I finished texting, or I would have hit you.
Yeah, I know. I know. You're lucky I'm watching this TV show that's calming me while I'm driving.
It's probably time we get into the news. Let's do that.
It's time for strange news.
So do you remember these old arcade games that were like super like in the early 80s? Yeah, they were like $60 back then, which is a lot of money, especially if you're a kid.
Games. How many games did those have on there? It was just one game, right?
Yeah, it was just one game. Yeah, they couldn't do things like that back then.
Like
there was only one game on the board.
Yeah, it was like the Coleco Minis.
Yeah, do you remember those?
Yeah, I remember those. Those were pretty awesome.
I remember like seeing them like in movies or TV shows. Remember that show Silver Spoons? Like he had that. Remember his dad had all those toys and stuff. And
yeah. Silver Spoons.
Remember that?
That's an old ass show.
I know. With Rick Schroeder and Alfonso.
Rick Schroeder, and he had that train. It would go
remember that shit?
Shit. I don't even know anybody remembers that shit.
I know. Damn, I know.
That's old people talk right there.
I know, man. I'm sure nobody knows what we're talking about.
Speaking of old people, do you remember the payphones? Do you remember having to go to a payphone?
Oh, yeah, man. You get a page. I remember getting a page. Oh, shit, I got to make a call. You go find it. They were like on every corner.
I was reading this article. It was like, did you know there's still about 100,000 payphones here in the United States?
That work?
Yeah. That aren't like pissed on and
are you sure?
Tagged up. Yeah, there's still 100,000 of them.
Damn.
I've only seen one. It was like at this gas station. Mm-hmm. But I've never seen anybody use it, so I don't even know why it's still there.
How much did you? You should have seen how much it costs, man. Like if it was 50 cents now, or like how much does it cost to use it?
I think it's still like 50 cents. But like, remember we'd like if you needed to make a long distance phone call, you had to put like all these quarters. Yeah.
Please deposit 4 quarters for the next 2 minutes or something like that. Yeah, I remember that. How many did you say?
There's 100,000 still left in the United States.
100,000. That surprises me. Because I seriously thought there might be like one in each city now left. Like in a big metropolitan city. I honestly don't ever see those anymore. And whenever I do see them, I actually have to go look at them, and they're always like broken. The handset's broken, or
it's always like all tagged up.
Yeah, exactly. It's thrashed. Like you don't want to touch it.
Apparently the FCC says that the providers reported a 286 million revenue in 2015. So people are still using them.
Wow. Like
drug dealers, probably.
Maybe, yeah. I'm sure those phones are tapped too. So. Oh, that's interesting.
Well, I thought that was kind of. Do you remember like when you like? I remember we used to do this like you didn't have any money, so you like make a collect call to someone to like your parents' house or something. You're like, as soon as they pick up, you're like, pick me up at so and so's, and then try to because they would ask.
Yeah,
like, you remember they would ask.
Yeah,
you
went by the minute. They charge for like the minute or something.
Yeah, so you're like,
hey, I'm at school. Pick me up at 3 o'clock.
So like, so when the other person would pick up, they were like, would you accept the call from? And then you'd have to say your name, and you'd have to like try to say the whole thing that you wanted to. Say like really quickly.
I know. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, that was interesting. That's how we had to get around, man. Hey?
That was the old days.
There's a guy in the UK. Cops pulled him over. This guy was sporting a driver's license with Homer Simpson on it.
Like the picture of the cartoon?
Yes. He had Homer Simpson on it. It says they picked him up and it said the address on it was 28 Springfield Way, USA. The name was H. Simpson. And so the Thames Valley Force stopped the guy and they asked for his license. He handed that over, the picture of Homer Simpson. And but they knew it was a fake because they knew it was really a fake because Homer lives at 742 Evergreen Terrace. not 28
So
Street for what you were
So
saying.
did the guy even look like him? I wonder. He was like, yeah,
No,
like, okay.
nothing, man. He just pulled that out. The guy didn't have a license. He had that shit.
That's pretty ballsy to pull that. I mean,
He did, man.
well, shit, you might as well because shit, if you don't have your license, you might as well just.
Yeah, here you go. There's some bullshit. It's not even real. Yeah, it was. I thought the guy was fucking nuts, but whatever. I guess he didn't care, right?
It'd be funny if you gave it to him and then like he actually did look like Homer Simpson.
I know. I know.
He's all bald, little stringy hair.
I know. Yeah, I thought that was interesting, but hey man, if he got away with it, I would have been like, holy shit. So what do you got?
Well, it's getting summertime, right? I'll start barbecuing.
Yeah.
I saw this news article where dozens is exposed to carbon monoxide at a basement barbecue in Long Island. So dozens of people were exposed to a carbon monoxide after they cooked with a charcoal barbecue in the basement of their Long Island home.
You're not supposed to do that. You're not supposed to fucking cook barbecue like that in your home.
I know. Well, police say 25 people who attended the family party.
25 people were chilling in the basement.
Yeah. Mastic suffered from carbon monoxide poisoning, according to the county police. Officers responded to reports of people unconscious at the Cumberland Street home around 9 p.m.
Jesus. Fuck. That is...
Oh, man.
You could die from that.
Yeah, I know. It could...
That's a
it could
silent
kill
killer,
you.
man.
Yeah.
You could die from that.
That's basically like when people like try to kill themselves without any pain because they just fall asleep.
Yeah.
And there was like in the movie they always like tape up the hose from their
and
from the back of the car and
exactly or they shut the garage when the car's running.
Yeah.
It's been a couple of days cold here, and I've been barbecuing all winter. There was a couple of days when it was like I'm not saying it's colder here than it is in New York. It was a couple times it was like 20 degrees outside. It was pretty chilly. Mm-hmm. And man, I was barbecuing. I was fucking freezing my nuts off out there, but I still did it, man. I'm not gonna chance a grill in the house. Man.
I know.
You don't do that shit. If that's the problem, then you order like 10 pizzas for fucking everybody. I don't need to barbecue some bullshit in the house.
Especially like in the basement.
No, man, there's no fucking ventilation.
That's even like worse. Yeah, because like at least like
it's
you can open some
space.
windows. Yeah, if you're like in the upper, like the first level, second level, you can open some windows and maybe get a
Yeah, maybe, but you don't do that shit.
You're still gonna get messed up. But like in the basement.
No, man, that's fucking asking for death. I was asking you're asking the Grim Reaper to come eat with you. Fuck that, man. So speaking of weird and kind of odd, and I'm not sure if this is stupid or not, but a man tries to smuggle an entire ant colony from Africa to China to make medicinal wine.
Wine from ants?
Yeah, from ants. So a Chinese traveler dug up a colony of ants in Africa and filled it in his suitcase. The Chinese customs officials inspected his luggage and found 9.9 pounds of an ant colony in his suitcase. He says he claimed that he was taking the ants to make medicinal wine to alleviate pain. Mm-hmm. So 9.9 pounds of ants in his fucking luggage.
I can't even imagine because
that's a lot of ants, man. Lot. Yeah. The officer opened the luggage and was shocked to find a colony of live ants filled in the compartment. 9.9 pounds from customs. He was going back to Chengdu. Mm-hmm. He was on the Ethiopian Airlines, and I guess they say that traditional Chinese herbology says that ant wine is commonly used to alleviate pain. But I don't know why African ants, are they better than Chinese ants, or is there no ants in China?
I don't know.
I don't know, but I thought that was really weird, and I don't really know much about Chinese customs. Maybe that is something real. I guess I wouldn't doubt it. But damn, man, that's fucking crazy.
Chinese ants, so
I mean, didn't.
Maybe there's something like the African ants.
That's what I'm saying. I don't know if there's something with
those
African ants that are like different. Maybe they're bigger.
I thought they were bigger.
I know it could be right, but it wasn't clear right now if the man's facing any charges because I don't know if he's breaking any laws.
Well, I think it would because like you're bringing in like a
some other type of some out of his natural habitat.
Yes, yeah.
He might be. And I think that and he was quarantined and so was his stuff. But still, man, I don't know. I don't drink wine. I don't know anything about shit like that.
We have drank wine, but I never heard of ant wine.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Again, There's some stuff, man, in China. I mean, they've been around like one of the oldest civilizations on the planet, so they might know some shit. Maybe that stuff really works.
Maybe it does. I know I've eaten cricket.
You've eaten cricket?
Yeah, it's not
Was it
too
good?
bad. Yeah, it wasn't bad.
Was it like chocolate dipped or just regular?
It was like a cricket powder.
Was it powder?
Like, yeah, so they made like
you
a
sniff
flour
it?
out of it.
No.
I snorted that
Yeah,
shit,
no.
and I was bouncing around everywhere. So they take all these crickets, they grind them all down, and then they make a flour out of it, and they made like a protein bar out of it.
Oh, really?
It was on Shark Tank, and I saw it, and I was like, I wonder what that tastes like. So I ordered some. It was actually pretty good.
Was it pretty good?
It tastes like an energy bar.
Well, yeah. I mean, don't they like insects have a lot of protein, don't they?
Like they say in the future, having insect farms would be a lot better for like the environment, because it's not like cows and stuff where they take up a lot of water and resources to grow the protein.
I think speaking of that, I think I remember like a year ago. I think I was reading that the baseball team, the Seattle Mariners, they were toasting grasshoppers, and people were eating them. Like they were selling out. Like everyone was eating those. Yeah. I think last year a lot of people were really eating them. It was like they tried it out and it was more popular than what they thought it would be.
Really?
Yeah.
I guess if you season it good enough, like you put a lot of salt.
I guess, man. For the low
some
price
lemon
of
on there.
$4, you grab yourself a big cup of grasshoppers tossed with chile lime salt, a Mexican culinary tradition of staple at any Mariners home game.
See, that would actually be pretty good, because I like the chile.
Oh, you do the chile lime?
The chile lime stuff's pretty good. Because I know that, like, I was like at the when I go to the flea market, I always get like the pistachio nuts.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I always get the pistachio nuts, and they have like the chile lime on there. Oh man, those are freaking good.
Huh? Never had those.
If you get a chance, you should get some, because they're delicious.
Well, if you get a chance, you get these fucking grasshoppers with chile lime.
Chile lime grasshoppers.
Yeah. So
I would give it a try.
You would try it?
Yeah, I'd try.
Yeah, you get.
If I don't like it, just spit it out and just don't eat them again.
Yeah, $4. I guess that's not that bad of a price.
That's kind of expensive for like crickets, because you can go get them for free.
Well, yeah, but I mean, you got to catch them, and then you got to cook them, and then you got to season them. That's already done.
Oh, that's true.
Right, for $4, this shit's handed to you, Holmes.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah. So $4. I mean, at least it's not like $10, right? Then $10, you'd feel like you'd have to eat it. You know?
I know. I spent $10 on this shit. I'm gonna eat.
I'm gonna fucking eat this shit. But it'll make you sick. I don't give a fuck.
I don't care.
I'm gonna eat this shit. Yeah. That's a lot of money. But I guess, like I said, it sold out. Like they were selling out when they had them. I think they just did like a trial run and it did better than they thought.
Oh, that's good. I bet you more people will try it, just because of the idea that it's cricket. So people are like, oh, I'll give it a shot.
I know. I always feel like mixed things. Like some people would just be so disgusted, like, oh no, fuck no. And some people would be like, like you just said, yeah, I'll give it a shot.
Yeah.
Why not?
Most people give it a try, I think.
Yeah, you should at least try, most things once.
Oh man, I tried have you ever tried that new energy drink that Pepsi's putting out, that Bang?
No, I haven't even
Have you
seen that.
those? Oh man, they're awful.
They're awful?
Yeah, I didn't like them at all.
Well, like the taste, or did it make you jump around?
Well, I know a couple people that have tried them. Friends of mine that have tried them, and half of them like got sick after
they got sick,
like physically sick after they drank it, and the other half were just they loved it. They was like they thought it was the best thing in the world.
How about you?
So I tried it, and it was like it was awful. Like, but then I paid like $2 for it, so I was like, oh, I'm gonna get.
So yeah, you're inclined. You had to drink at least half of it. Huh? I can't throw away this $2.
Yeah, it was like cotton candy flavor.
Oh,
which I thought was kind of and then like on there it says like no artificial flavoring.
Well, then what's the cotton candy?
That's what I was thinking. So how did you can put that on there?
I know. What the fuck?
And they have cotton candy flavor on there.
Oh,
it's like,
cotton
really?
candy's natural. I forgot.
We just melted cotton candy into the drink.
I know. But cotton candy is healthy.
It's all natural, man.
Natural shit. It's cotton candy. Wait. So was there different flavors? Did you just buy the wrong flavor?
Well, I bought that flavor, and then somebody gave it a taste, so they had like a blueberry or something like that, and that tasted just as bad.
Look, man,
so I don't know.
I wouldn't
maybe
buy the cotton. That was your fault. You shouldn't have bought the fucking cotton candy.
Well, because the ones that liked it, they said that was the one that they liked.
Oh, fuck that.
The ones that got sick, they had drank other flavors. So I was like, well, I might as well. If I gotta try something, I'll try something that everyone, the two that didn't get sick, I gotta try that one.
Fuck, man. What'd you say it's called? Pepsi Bang?
Yeah, Pepsi Bang. They're like popping all over the place in town.
Shit, I haven't seen that. I look at Pepsi Bang, I'm just getting all this other weird shit. There's lemon. Oh yeah, here's cotton candy. Here's lemon drop. I don't know if I'd want either one of those. I would do lemon drop over cotton. Cotton candy would be my last one.
That's the last one you did.
Yeah, the only one that might be before it would be there might be worse in it would be like fucking bubblegum flavored.
Yeah, that sounds like it'd be really gross.
Yeah.
The two flavors that I tried, I didn't like at all.
Amazing taste, insane energy, powered by sugar, creatine, 0 sugars, 0 calories, 0 carbs, 0 artificial colors, potent brain and body fuel. See, that's what made you sick. You didn't have any of those. and it provided you potent brain and body fuel.
I was too healthy is what happened. After I drank it.
Yeah. This shit, man. Oh, man. I don't know, man. I don't think I would. I never heard of this. I wouldn't even try this.
No, you gotta try everything once at least.
Yeah, I know. Like, some of these, I feel like I know will hurt my stomach.
I know some of them probably wouldn't be that great, but
like I know that this is gonna fuck me up, and it's like, you know what? I'll just pass. Just give me something healthy. Give me a beer. No. Give me some Coors Light.
Coors
Light. Coors Light, the best beer, right?
All right, so what I got? I got a story from China.
Uh-oh.
So another China story.
Oh, shit.
All the cool stuff happens in China.
I know. All the fun stuff.
So I guess the Tiangong 1 space station is going to crash to Earth within a couple weeks. So China's first space station is expected to come down crashing to Earth within a week. But scientists have not been able to predict where it's going to land. The U.S.-funded Aerospace Corporation estimates the space station will re-enter the atmosphere during the first week of April, give or take a week. They think maybe March 24th to April 19th.
They don't know where.
They don't know, but they don't know kind of when. That's like the range. That's the range they think it's going to come down. China admit that they lost control in 2016 and wouldn't be able to do a controlled entry.
Do we know how? So is this a pretty big station? I'm assuming.
It said if this was to happen, any surviving debris from the fall within a region is about a few hundred kilometers in size. So they don't know when it's gonna fall, and they don't know where it's gonna fall.
So they just know.
So like 43 degrees north and 40 degrees south, you're safe. But anywhere in between that latitude, you're pretty much, you might have a chance of getting hit by a piece of the China space station.
Oh man, that's fucked up. That's fucked up. So we don't know when, we don't know how, but this thing's gonna fuck up the world. Gonna fuck up North America.
Weeks, just watch where you go, watch your step.
Oh god.
Look up.
Dang.
You see the weird shadows on the ground.
Yeah. Speaking of some more weird shit, odd stuff. Some 19-year-old, he took a taxi to and from a bank robbery. So this guy, this young man took a cab to and from a bank robbery and then paid the driver with some of his stolen cash. So the driver.
So wait. So he robbed the bank.
He took the cab. The cab picked him up, maybe at the store, wherever, and said, "Hey, take me here. Take me to the bank. Keep the meter running." He went in.
Okay.
He went in. He gave the teller a note saying, you know, give me the money, you know. Mm-hmm. And he got the cash. He went back out to the car. The guy took him back where he wanted to go, and he fucking paid him the cash right there. This kid.
You take $100 bills?
Yeah. You take unmarked bills, boy? Yeah. So he just passed the teller a note demanding money, and he didn't even show a weapon.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think they're trained to do that. Like if someone comes up with a,
you just do it.
They just do it.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, I don't know the bank teller etiquette, but yeah, this guy just fucking gave him a note, got the cash, and went back and paid the taxi guy, and was on his way. But he got caught. So he had, you know, he's on preliminary charges of robbery and possession of drug paraphernalia.
So did the taxi driver? Is he the one that turned him in?
No, it didn't say who turned him in. I'm sure he was just on camera. They have pictures of him on camera.
Oh,
so yeah, fucking this guy, man, the balls. Here you go. Just keep the meter running, guy.
I know.
I'll have a real nice tip for you.
He's all wearing a ski mask and stuff.
I know. Don't worry about this.
Don't worry about this.
I'm just cold. I wear this everywhere. So yeah, he fucking guy just got out, man. He just fucking walked in and out, man. Keep the meter running.
Well, I mean, the guy. Yeah, I mean, the taxi driver guys. He's not gonna know what's going on, especially if he just walks in with no gun or anything.
I know.
He probably like came. I bet you the guy came out like he went in there like nothing. He was like, I'm gonna be out in like 5 minutes. I'm just gonna go get a new more checks for my
checkbook.
checkbook.
Go get some money, and he did. He went and got money.
Yeah, I gotta make a withdrawal.
I know, exactly.
I know he probably just walked in all leisurely, just dropped the note down. He probably had it all calm and cool, and then walked right back out.
Well, he was probably coked out, man. He looks real calm and cool. So
was he all coked out in the picture?
The picture he looks all fucked up. So
maybe he just looks like that all the time.
He could be
cool,
right.
Collective.
He just looks so calming. Maybe he just asked the teller before he could finish. Give her the note of how much money he wanted. He had a check filled out. She just fucking gave him cash. Like, oh, this guy's so calm and cool. I'm just gonna give him money. Yeah, he fucking but he got away with it for a little bit. I mean, he got out of the bank.
Apparently, you got home.
Yeah, he got somewhere. With all that cash.
Just imagine being that taxi driver just sitting out there.
I know.
And the guy's just like running out of the bank with like money flying out.
I know. He's all part of it.
He's just like hauling ass into the car. Like,
I know.
Just go.
The cops question him. He just told me to go. I just went.
Dude, the guy gave me $200. What I was supposed to do?
I know. I know, man. The guy was just, man. He's lucky. I guess he's pretty lucky that the cops, he wasn't part of any of that, right?
Yeah. So I wonder if we paid him like with the bank money. So
oh yeah.
I wonder if he lost his his pay for that ride.
I'm assuming he did. I don't know who's gonna pay for that. I think that's a fucking fair. He lost. he fucked up somehow.
Okay, we're gonna take a break and we'll be right back to listen to Llorona.
We have all those creepypastas that came out where, everyone talks about Slender Man or the Rake and stuff, but I feel like this one that's kind of been around for a long time, and I don't know if this is really considered a creepypasta, but it's got a long history, and you can't, prove that it's real or not, that it's fake. Mm-hmm. But it's something that's been talked about for a long time, especially, in the Mexican culture, and, It's a woman that she's known as the Weeping Woman, or in Spanish they say La Llorona.
Oh, I know her.
Yeah, I hope you don't know her personally.
No, but I've heard this.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, because this woman sounds like she's not too cool. So the basic story tells of a beautiful woman by the name of Maria who drowns her children in a river for revenge towards her husband, who had left her for a younger woman. And after she does that, she realizes that, she fucked up. And she drowns herself in the river when she realizes, the kids are dead. She's like, oh my God. Mm-hmm. So, basically, then the story goes that at the gates of heaven, she's challenged over the whereabouts of her children. And she's not allowed to enter because she doesn't have the kids. She's told that she has to bring her children in order to get into the gates of heaven. So she's forced to wander the earth for all eternity, searching for her children that she killed. So she's constantly crying. She's weeping. That's why she has the name Llorona. Mm-hmm. So she's basically a spirit that's caught between the living and the spirit world.
So if the kids are dead, would they be in heaven too? So wouldn't they know that they're already there?
I don't know. It just might be a punishment. I don't know if they're in. Who knows if they're in heaven? What if they were bad? What if they're in hell?
I know you're 2 years old, but you know what? You got to live with those consequences.
You're a piece of shit.
You're being an asshole for those 2 years.
I know, those 2 years you sucked. You were the shittiest kid there ever be. You and your brother.
To hell with you.
Settle to hell.
You and your fucking mom, get out of here.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
So basically, yeah. I mean, Who knows? Maybe they are already in there, and she's just
okay.
cursed, right?
Yeah.
They tell her that, so she's like, "Oh man, you're right. I better go." So that was like always a story that I remember hearing growing up. There was also another version that I had not heard of before, and this has to do a little bit of history. I'm not going to go too in depth with it, but it has to do with the Aztecs and the Spaniards when they came and they conquered the Aztecs. Do you remember all that story that we learned about? Cortez was like the guy in charge of the Spaniards that led to the downfall of the Aztecs, right?
Uh-huh.
So he had help from a woman who was Aztec woman. Her name was they called her La Malinche. That's the name they gave her. Like it's like a betrayer. So originally, like the story of her, she was born in the Aztec province, like to a I guess a pretty big Aztec family. In like 1515, she was given to Mayan merchants for slavery, and she learned the tongue of the Mayans as well. So she knew like Aztec and Mayan. Mm-hmm. So she was able to like learn. She seemed like a smart woman. And then around 1521. She after she had been helping Cortez, she was a translator between the Mayans or the Aztecs and the Spaniards. She was telling the Spaniards all like the secrets and everything that they needed to know to conquer the Aztecs. The Aztecs didn't Spanish at all, so she was the one that translated between them. She learned Spanish and she spoke their language, so she was basically the translator, and she was valuable to Cortez.
Kind of like a Pocahontas character.
I guess. I don't know. I didn't see that movie.
I don't know that bitch.
Yeah, but she's known as the Aztecs. She's known as like a betrayer, right? Because she helped out the enemy.
All right.
So in 1521, she gives birth to twin boys by Cortez, and Cortez continues all his quests, and eventually the king and queen of Spain, they feel like he's getting too big, right? He's getting big-headed and too popular, and they're asking him to come back because they're thinking, oh man, this guy, he might create his own Spaniard empire over there, and we won't be able to control him. So they're like, hey, you need to come back, and he's like, nope, I'm good here. so the king and queen devise a plan to send a beautiful woman down there to bring him back, to kind of seduce him and bring him back.
Oh. Okay.
So in the next year, the woman gets there and she seduces him and convinces him to come back to Spain with his two sons. Not her, not La Malinche, the girl that helped him, the woman that all that shit. So she says, bring your two kids and come back with me, baby. And so he's like, fuck yeah, I got some new piece of ass. I'm with you. So he tells the Malinche, hey, I'm out of here. You're last week's news. He's like, you're staying behind. I'm taking the kids with me. I'm going back to Spain. So that's when she finally realizes, like, fuck, I fucked up. This guy that I helped, fucking ruin my society, ruin my...
Yeah, and she's like a pariah now to her people.
Yeah. She's like...
stuck in the middle, yeah.
But now she's like, oh, I fucked up. Now that he's leaving her, she's like, I fucked up, I thought I was better than what, more to him than what he thinks I am. So she like praises the gods for help, and one of the gods, appears to her and says, if you let him take your children, one of them will return and destroy your people. So the night before he leaves, she escapes with the kids, and the soldiers soon discover that she's gone, and they end up chasing her down, hunting her down, and they surround her. And just as they're going to capture her, she pulls out a dagger that she has and she kills the babies, stabs them in the heart, and she throws them in the water. Basically, like, if I can't have them, neither can you.
Yeah.
So, and then she cries out, "Oh, my children!" In Spanish, she's like, "Oh, like there they go." Eventually, she dies, but up until the time of her death, she's seen and heard, like at the lakes, weeping and wailing, crying for her kids. And that's where she's given the name of the weeping woman, the La Llorona. Mm-hmm. Cortez, he had known that she played an integral part in him succeeding in defeating the Aztecs. Because if you remember, the Aztecs were pretty strong, and they had a pretty good stronghold. And without her help, he even like said, like, one of his like final notes was something like, after God, we owe the conquest of New Spain to Doña Marina. That was the name they gave her. Which is known as La Malinche. Mm-hmm. So they gave her that name, Doña Marina, but they recognized that she helped. Like 1550, the first documented appearances of La Llorona after La Malinche's death occurs in Mexico City, She's often seen on the night of full moon wandering the streets wearing her white dress and a light veil covering her face. And her agonizing cries, I guess, terrorize anyone who sees or hears her. Her last stop is always at the La Plaza Mayor, where she lets out her most desperate, horrific cry, after which she vanishes into the lake. So, like, since then, and in the Americas, in Latin America, she's kind of known. It's a story that kind of keeps kids, in check. Hey, don't be staying out too late. La Llorona will, if she sees you, if she catches you, you hear her. She's gonna get you, right? It was always a thing that we would hear.
Yeah, I remember growing up, like we'd be in the room, whatever, just making a bunch of noise, and
they'd come in. Hey,
my mom would come in. It's like, you don't be quiet. The Llorona's gonna come and get you.
Yeah, and you'd be like, oh shit, like fuck that.
And then like she was like, if you hear crying, and then she's gonna come, and then like because we had like a dog, there'd be dogs outside. They'd
be whining.
They'd whine or something. You're like, freaking
oh my
out.
God, oh fuck, she's coming. Yeah. I never heard of that about La Malinche being the Llorona. I always heard that it was just a beautiful woman, or a woman that was heartbroken that her husband had left her for another younger woman. Basically, it's the same story, right? I mean, it's just different eras.
Yeah, I've heard different versions of it too.
There's lots of versions. There's lots of versions of who she was or who they think she was. It feels like it's the first kind of creepypasta, because you can't prove nor disprove this, right? It seems like more like a story that was brought up, and like we just talked about. Things like our parents would say to get us to shut up, or to get us to not be outside at night,
Yeah, because back then, I mean, we'd go out there until it get dark, and then they'd want you to come in. So,
or like if you were out, like it kind of like for your future, when they couldn't control you anymore, and then you'd go out with your friends, they'd be like, hey, remember the Llorona, that type of stuff. And we didn't have cell phones back then, so you couldn't call or text anybody, right? You had to find one of those fancy payphones.
One of those payphones. Have your quarter and your nickels ready.
Yep. You had to make sure. So, I remember having a friend, like he had told me, like, I remember being in school and him telling me that like his mom had, he had said that his mom, again, you can't prove any of this, right? But his mom had told him that when she was a young girl, they used to live, they were poor and they lived out by, they had to camp out, their family, right? They didn't have a house. And she said, like, one night, like, they would always stay close to their parents at night 'cause she was a young girl. And they would hear the weeping at night. And it would scare them. And even the parents would get scared. Because they would stay out. They were close to water, because they had to be close to water to wash their clothes, right? They were poor. It was always something that people would hear. Like I said, it could have just been a wolf or a dog, but like but you don't know what it was, and you were always scared. So I got a couple of stories from some other friends. One of them was a friend. One of them I got online, but another friend of mine that I used to work with, no longer do. There was a guy named Connor, and he was from Colorado. So Connor told me one time. Because I told him we were talking about these type of things, and he was like, hey, have you ever heard of this? I'm like, hey, man, you're a white guy. How do you know this stuff? So he was like, man, he goes, I got to tell you this story. So he says he went out hiking with his, like the trail, some part of the Rocky Mountains. He went out for the day with his 2 sons, and they were going to go like on a 6-mile path, 6-mile trail. And his boys were like 9 and 12, so they weren't super small, but they weren't, that big. So they left in the morning to go make the trek. So they're kind of taking their time, and the kids are kind of lollygagging, and bathroom breaks, resting breaks, right? Because when you have young kids, you got to take a little more breaks than you would want. But they come across streams and little small streams and stuff, but they just stayed on the trail. And eventually they made it to the 6 mile, made it to the top. And he had never been up that path. He had just heard about it from a friend. So when he got to the top, he was amazed that there was a big, beautiful lake. He was like, oh shit, this is kind of cool. And so they didn't have any fishing poles or anything, but they just kind of hung out there. The kids got to dip their feet in the water, and they had their lunch there, their snacks and all that stuff. And he just kind of hung out, laid down, and it was a long 6 miles, right, going uphill. He kind of lost track of time. So then he finally realizes, oh shit, it's after 3. And he looks up, and the sun's already past, the midway mark. So he's like, oh shit. He didn't want to get caught out in the dark, especially with his kids. So he knows. He's like, man, I knew if I was by myself, I could have ran that whole way back. I could have been back, in a couple hours. But he's got the kids. He's trying to keep them going. So, they got the kids together. They started, making their way back. And after about 3 miles, the sun started going down, and he started to hear like he said he could hear like a little faint, like a light wailing noise. But his kids were kind of talking all this stuff, and they didn't hear it. So he thought, maybe it's just some animal or something, right? Mm-hmm. So the kids were getting tired, and he was trying to get them to go faster, right? Because they were losing the sunlight. So by the time they were 4 miles in, they could hear. He says he could hear like some like faint crying. And like a little bit of moaning, and it was getting louder. And eventually the kids started hearing it. They're like, Daddy, what is that? He's like, I don't know. It must be like a coyote or something. And he said like, he knew that it didn't sound like a coyote. He's like, damn, that shit, like, what the fuck is that? So the kids started asking like, who's crying? And they kept wanting to like take breaks and all this stuff. He's like, no, we got to keep going. So he kept ushering them. And the sun, it was starting to go down, and he was starting to get afraid because he kept hearing this like crying and whining like behind him. Mm-hmm. And he said that it reminded him because he grew up in like Santa Fe, and he had Mexican friends who used to tell him about the weeping woman, like he knew about it. Mm-hmm. And he always thought like that was bullshit, right? Like this ain't real. Yeah. They're just trying to scare me, right? Whatever. Yeah. But about 5 miles in, and it was starting to get dusk, he was starting to get really freaked out because the harder they pushed, he felt like the moans were getting louder and louder, closer to him. And he just kept his kids in front of him, and as they were going, he was always constantly hearing like twigs and sticks breaking behind him. And the few times he looked back, he thought he could see like something like in the tree lines behind him, like something white moving and like coming after them. Mm-hmm. And he was like, what the fuck? But he didn't want to stop. Every time he saw that, he was like, fuck this.
Yeah, let's go. Let's go.
Yeah. And especially with the kids, right? So eventually they made it to the car, and he got to the car and just bailed. He's like, I'm out. And, he had always thought of the weeping woman the whole time, the Llorona. So, but he thought, like, man, I always heard that she was supposed to be around water. Like, that couldn't have been her. Like, was there somebody out there that maybe was hurt, that was maybe crying? Like, maybe I left somebody that wanted help.
So just ask, like, begging for help.
Yeah, I know. Some lady got away from some bullshit. 3 days. I know, and he's all running from her. But he said he got home, and he looked on the map. He pulled out the map, and he looked. Like at the path that he was going on, and he didn't realize it. He didn't know as they were doing the path because the kids were always talking. They're whatever, everything was going on. But there was a stream that was parallel to the path, so they were basically walking by a stream the whole way. So he thought, shit, if that was her, she had a way to, follow us. She had that water because she's supposed to be around water. So he found he said that it just scared him. He said that he found like old newspaper articles, like in the last 75 years there's been like 16 kids that had gone missing around that area.
Oh wow.
Yeah, he says that like he's like fuck that. After that he's like I never went back. He's like I'm done with that.
Yeah, I wouldn't go back either.
Yeah, he was
insane.
Yeah, he was just like nope, not again. So yeah, he said in hindsight he was like, fuck, I shouldn't have went there.
But like, you're not gonna know. It's like,
that's what I'm saying, right?
Well,
yeah, he didn't know.
Gotta try everything once.
I know. Yeah. So I have this other story from this this person, Hackle21879K, wrote into us, and she says, my mom and I were camping once in Utah. We had to go to the campground and were surprised no one else was there. We unpacked our stuff and decided to look around the campground. We found a path into the woods and followed it for about a quarter mile until we came to a river. The river's rapids were really fast, and it seems like if you fell in, you would be swept away for good. My mom kept away from the river and told me to be careful. We hung around the rocks on the banks and played with sticks and threw rocks in the river. I played in the dirt, etc. Eventually, Mom said it was time to go since it was starting to get dark. So we made our way back to the campground, and Mom cooked hot dogs over a nice big fire that she had made. Eventually, it was time for bed, and we got into the tent. I woke up later and I could hear a moaning sound. I was confused. I thought it was my mom moaning. I don't know why she would have thought that.
Usually they don't have sex on Tuesdays.
And well, it was just her and her mom. There was no dad, so
She brought her rub grub.
so
And all of a sudden there's pizza here.
I know. Said as soon as I sat up and was about to say something, my mom pushed me back down and covered my mouth. Her eyes were wide as said quarters. I don't know, like big. Must be big.
Yeah.
She had her hand over her mouth as if to say, "Shh." When I saw the horror in her face, my heart sank. I didn't know what was going on. Why was she so afraid? Who was crying? The crying seemed to get louder, and between wails, I could hear the leaves moving. It sounded like a biped moving across the campground coming toward us. We were not religious one bit, but my mom started to say words which I later learned to be a prayer. The moaning got so loud that I could tell somebody was outside the tent hovering over us. I was so scared, mainly because of the horror in my mother's face. The worst thing happened next. The tent zipper started to unzip, and my mom started crying out loud, and I did too. The outside moans got louder and more horrible. Soon my mom let out a blood-curdling scream as she started to get pulled out of the tent. She kicked and kicked at the hand and started saying her prayers out loud. For some reason, it let go of my mom. She huddled back into the tent and held me tight. The cries continued, but eventually faded. We stayed awake all night, and when first of light appeared, we sloppily threw everything into the car and left. Mom had an aneurysm a year later and died. I think the weeping woman took her instead of me as she protected me that night. I've also, I read stuff like she's almost like the Bloody Mary. Remember the Bloody Mary that you did?
Yeah, like they come out through the mirror.
Yeah, and they'll attack you. And it almost seems like this. Like I said, it seems like the mom must have been praying for the Llorona to take her instead of the daughter.
I see.
That's what she thinks.
She sacrificed her life. She took it for the
king. She did, yep. But I thought it was interesting, and like I said, these stories used to always, it used to scare me hearing these.
Yeah, I used to get scared listening to them too when I was a little kid.
Do you ever remember any more of those stories like that? Where you ever think you heard anything when you were out at night besides the dogs wailing?
All the time.
Yeah.
Or you remember when we go we go out in the middle of the night and run through the orchards and stuff?
Yeah. Sometimes, man, I think about some of that shit we did. It's like, why the hell did we do that?
Because we were young and stupid.
I know, right? We were immortal. But like everyone, what was weird is I remember thinking like we'd go out in the orchards and we'd be way out there. And then that night I remember thinking when I was laying in bed, like, why did we go out there? Like, someone could have jumped us. Something could have got us. Like, why the fuck are we doing that? Oh, we can't wait to go back next week and do it. It's like,
yeah, we'd go do it again.
Yeah, it's like, all right, no problem.
It was more fun. But I think the idea of being scared is like people like that.
Yeah,
so, people watch scary movies and stuff
until something happens. that's when it's not cool.
And then it gets like it's gone too far.
Yeah, like no, I just want to act like I'm scared. I want to be tough. And it used to scare me because we had like a canal. Remember the canal by my parents' house?
Yeah.
So I used to always think like, man, is she always around there?
I always thought she would hang out there, sitting in the canal, smoking a cigarette, waiting for kids to come by.
I know. I have one more quick story, if you don't mind.
All right, let's do that, and then we'll
okay, this is not very long.
Okay.
So this one was called this one I got online as well from Edith L92K. I don't know what the fuck. Once my grandma asked me and my cousins to go help him feed his animals. He told us that we had to stay away from him, like not to get too close because we were scared of the animals. It started getting dark and we were by the river. We saw La Llorona. She was dressed in white and she was looking at us. She started crying and beckoning us to come to her. Grandpa was preoccupied with the animals and she started to wail louder. Soon Grandpa heard it and came running toward us. He saw her too and told us to run. We got scared and we ran all the way home. Grandpa came home soon and he said that as we ran, she started to chase us. A couple years later, we asked him more about it and he gave us some more information. He said as it started to chase us, he could see she had no feet. He got scared, but he knew he had to protect us. He yelled to her, Llorona, you must stay by the water. I see your kids. And she stopped and turned to him with a face of anger and dismay and ran back to the water and disappeared.
Oh, damn.
He said after that, he never asked us to go help him again.
That's one way to get out of work.
Yeah, no shit. Nope, can't go. That's old workman's comp, right?
I like how we Jerry Springer ashamed her. Well, you need to take care of your kids.
Yeah. So yeah, I thought she was the Llorona was always pretty scary. I never liked her.
Yeah, when you're a little kid, I mean, that's who she's going for. So
yeah, exactly right.
And then you got when you're small and walking, it's all dark and all this stuff goes through your head.
Yeah, going up the stairs at night when it's dark.
Yeah.
Oh,
just dark anything at night when you're a little kid. It's freaky.
Yeah. Yeah, it's never a good thing. You're always oh man, this is the pits. So that's all I got.
All right, well, so we're getting to the end, so time to say goodbye. So have a good morning, evening, or night, and we'll see you next week. Until then, stay strange.
Strange, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.
If you enjoy the show, please go to iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, or wherever you're listening, and please give us a good rating. If you want to share a story or have ideas for a future episode, you're welcome to visit us at www.thestrangepodcast.com. We look forward to hearing from you.